Go, boys.
Come on, Chris.
Still, yeah? Keep it easy, Westo. Don't really need to push on too much. No, don't push through any barriers here tonight. Huh? Just keep it relaxed. 100 metres, look.
Yeah.
See us here.
I can't see it. Where do you want me to do a heats and final jump?
What are you practicing for?
Welcome back to the SUB67 half marathon project, the 10-week series leading up to the Great North Run, where I attempt to go sub 67 over the half marathon distance, or an hour and 7 minutes. And this is going to take place, as I said, up in Newcastle, the Great North Run. Thank you all for the support on this series so far. You've been absolutely crushing it in terms of comments, likes, and views as well. You guys have just been absolutely supporting the crap out of this, essentially. So yeah, a massive thank you to you guys, and also a massive thank you to Soar Running for sponsoring this series. I couldn't make the series without them, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So guys, this is week number 3 of this 10-week training block leading up to the Great North Run, and this is where we're starting to really build some momentum. So hopefully we'll see in some of these activities and some of these sessions that confidence is starting to grow a little bit, and also fitness, which is probably a little bit more important, some would say, is also is starting to grow as well. So we started off on the Monday, and I started off with a steezy 7 miles. This was planned to be an easy run, but once I got moving, I was just like, wow, this just feels so nice. It was a really nice day outside. The wind was shining. The wind was blowing, the sun was shining, and I ran from my gym. So I was going to do an S&C session afterwards. So I parked in the car park, put my gym access card in my back pocket, and went for a run down to the seafront. And yeah, you can see from the route there, it's kind of, I really like routes where I don't cross the road or run on the same road twice. So that's what I tried to avoid. So yeah, I ran along the seafront, pretty flat, 95 meters of elevation. I don't really worry too much about elevation on easy runs. Like, I don't avoid hills, but I'm not trying to go up every single hill possible. And yeah, as you can see, like, heart rate was a little bit higher than you'd expect on an easy run, and that's hence why I call it steezy. Could probably stretch it to steady, to be fair, but yeah, felt really good on this run, really thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I went into the gym straight after, so I didn't really need to warm up for the gym because I just done a 7-mile warm up, and did some S&C. So I've been carrying on with my exercises where I'm strengthening my adductors, specifically those muscles on the inside of your legs. They're muscles that I've always found pretty tight and pretty weak because I just don't use them very often. They're muscles that are used in a lot more kind of side to side motion, but they really help to stabilize the knee, stabilize the pelvis. So they're muscles that you could do with strengthening, but they don't really get too much activation through running. So yeah, that's something that I've really been trying to work on, and also your abductors as well. So you've got 3 main glute muscles: your glute maximus, which does a lot of the work when you're running, but then also your glute medius and your glute minimus, and those 2 muscles, they get a little bit neglected as well. So I've been trying to really work on those. You know, the machine where you kind of open your legs and then you close your legs, they're the machine that kind of targets both, but not in a great way, but that's the machine that you'd be using if you're trying to target those muscles, just in a simple way. So yeah, really enjoying the S&C at the moment. I used to absolutely dread getting into the gym, but I've actually been thoroughly enjoying it, trying these new exercises out. A video that I really enjoyed and really helped kind of give me some ideas for S&C exercises was a video by Tim Man Elite, Sam Parsons S&C session. So go and check that out if you need some inspiration. I'm hoping to do my own strength exercise session at some point, but I'm trying to organise doing it in a gym that's empty so that you guys haven't got loads of like people in the background and things like that. Moving on to the Tuesday, I started off with an easy 60-minute spin. Now I had this planned for the Monday, but uni just got a little bit hectic and I actually ran out of time during the day, and then by the time I finished uni it was 9 o'clock and I started to think about cooking dinner, etc. So I just moved it to the Tuesday morning. So yeah, as you can see, really starting to get a bit more comfortable on the bike, starting to actually work out my heart rate. I did see a comment on last week's episode where someone said that roughly bike heart rate is about 20 beats per minute less than running heart rate. So if you're aiming for about 140 beats per minute when you run, aim for about 120 beats per minute when you cycle, for example. So this is exactly what I did here. I tried to keep it around that 120 beats per minute area, because I'd be aiming for about 140 beats per minute on an easy run. And yeah, you can see I did it pretty well. But yeah, really starting to understand how my body reacts to the cycling sessions or just easy spin sessions at the moment. And I'm really kind of enjoying it. Just whack on a bit of Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares or something silly.
No, don't with me.
Just to keep my mind kind of entertained and stimulated while I'm on the bike, because that is one of the hardest things. You just really want to get off, pretty much. And I always find the bikes are a little bit like quicksand for your bum and your comfort levels. The more you move, the worse it gets. So then in the evening, I actually went down to the gym and did my session on a treadmill. It absolutely started hammering it down with rain, so there was no chance I was doing it outside. And also because of my clinic schedule, I wasn't able to go and train with Canterbury Endurance because I had to be in uni clinic that evening. So I did 8 times 3 minutes of 60 seconds jog. So gradually working the volume up. So here you can see we're up to 24 minutes of volume there. I was originally going to do 7 and I felt really good, so I did 8. Could have carried on, but I knew that the sensible thing was to stop and just do 8. So the treadmills at the gym that I went to, they do max out at 19.3 kilometers per hour, which is slightly annoying if I'm honest, but it did also kind of keep me at, like, I had no choice but to go that pace, if that makes sense. So I couldn't overdo it because the treadmill simply wouldn't allow it. So I always do all my sessions at 1% incline to kind of emulate the gradient outside. And yeah, I just had to stick to that 19.3 kilometers per hour, unfortunately, but you know, hey ho. If anything, it kept me probably a little bit more around my actual threshold pace, and that's why I put a threshold-ish, because I'm not really sure for this session. And then those 60-second jogs, I just switched the treadmill down to 12 kilometers per hour because most treadmills allow you to set 2 different paces. So I had it set to 19.3 and then 12, and literally just once a rep finished, I would click the other one. So yeah, 3 minutes and then 60 seconds jog. Yeah, overall I was really happy with that. I think 19.3 pretty much averages out at 5 minute miling. So yeah, I was really happy with that, and I felt a bit tired that day. So yeah, overall pretty happy with that session. And yeah, just starting to get a little bit of that confidence back. You know, like, I'm a runner who really thrives off being confident, and I always find I run kind of pretty well when I'm confident. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? And yeah, confidence is starting to flow back a little bit into these runs, and you can see from kind of like the things I've been saying in my Strava, really. And yeah, as you can see, I always do my 2-mile warm up, 2-mile cool down. Moving on to the Wednesday, now I had to get up pretty early for this one, as you can see, starting at 5:40 a.m. On the treadmill, and I had to do 7 miles in the morning. Yeah, so for this run, I really don't like doing early morning runs, I have to say. I find my body just isn't ready. And fun fact, I think if you guys have watched my recent day in the life video, you're most likely to get injured in the first 20 minutes of the day. Your muscles and your connective tissue, they're just not warmed up properly, and that's when you're most likely to injure them. So I did take a 15-20 minute walk down to the gym to get on the treadmill, but then I still feel a bit lethargic, still feel a bit rusty in the morning. So I didn't go crazy. I started off pretty slow on the treadmill. I've got absolutely no shame in pace and stuff. If I'm not feeling it, I will just run a little bit slower than maybe I would have liked to, because you know, when you've just woken up, it takes a bit of time to loosen up. Just need a bit of that kind of natural WD-40 to loosen the joints off a little bit. So yeah, and whenever I do kind of easy runs on the treadmill, I set it to rolling hills. So most treadmills will have a rolling hills setting, where basically you set what you want the maximum incline to be, and it will gradually work its way up, and then it will gradually work its way down, and then yeah, essentially, as it says what it does on the tin, right? Rolling hills. So yeah, average at about 420 per kilometer there, and then average heart rate, really chuffed for that, 136 beats per minute, because I actually set the rolling hills incline too high. So when it was getting up to kind of 5-6%, I was like, well, this is actually starting to get a little bit hard. So yeah, and as you can see from the heart rate, kept it really nice and comfortable, even though I didn't feel nice and comfortable. Then afterwards, following my my treadmill 7 miles, I did manage to do an S&C session. This is all in the morning before uni, so yeah, I was pretty tired that day. So yeah, I just did an hour just under in the gym. This was a lot more kind of functional stuff, so a lot more core, body weight, kind of squats, things like that, just working on my range of motion rather than my actual strength. So this is probably more of a C than an S&C, if that makes sense, because after a 7-mile run, still early in the morning, coffee hasn't really hit me yet, and still trying to wake up. So yeah, I didn't want to do anything too kind of energy consuming. Then moving on to the Thursday, I started off with a 45-minute spin. Now I did originally have 60 minutes planned, but I realized I hadn't really done any kind of proper mobility or actual kind of TLC on the muscles, for example, stretching, muscle rolling, anything like that. So I dedicated 15 minutes of spin to that instead. I thought it'd be more important for me to just give myself a little bit of tender loving care on those muscles and joints, etc. So yeah, I got off the bike a little bit earlier, but then sat and did 15 minutes of stretching, and I think my body really appreciated that. And yeah, my body was just feeling a little bit tired, so I was like, what's the point in doing an extra 15 minutes on the bike? I might as well just kind of look after myself. And again, really bang on with the heart rate, about 119 beats per minute. Take these with a pinch of salt. I never feel like it's quite accurate on the bike for some reason. I don't know why it would be inaccurate, but I always feel like it's way too low, because I always end up feeling like I'm working a little bit hard on the bike, but I can only go off heart rate if it's there. So yeah, ended up 45 minutes and then 15 minutes of kind of stretching and mobility, which I should do more, but at the moment with it being so hectic, I'm just trying to cram it in wherever I can basically, so I prioritised a bit there. Then moving on to Thursday evening, I was able to get down to Canterbury Endurance for this session, and this is the session you're going to see in a bit more detail at the end of this video. It's a tempo session, and as you can see on the warm-up, I put the Ellis cross effect, and that's because the warm-up was a little bit quicker than I would normally do them, and that's what happens when you run with an elite athlete like Ellis himself. Everyone just kind of gets a bit starstruck and you start running it a little bit too quickly, but you know, it's all part of the fun and games. And then yeah, this is the session. So again, still trying to keep it between that kind of 22 to 24 minutes of work really, not completely overdoing it. It's easy to kind of bump up the volume in each session, but then you don't realize like the total volume increase that you've implemented over the week, if that makes sense. So yeah, even if it's only 4 minutes per session, that's still a 12-minute increase in volume over the week. So I've just got to try and be careful really. So I only went for the 22.5 minutes of volume on this session. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, as you can see, I did a 10-minute tempo, 7.5-minute tempo, and a 5-minute tempo with Westo, and I was actually really chuffed with the paces on this, and this is probably the best session I've had since coming back from injury. I felt so comfortable, felt so easy at the paces we were on the grass. I've never really liked grass sessions. I find that I struggle with them a little bit. They don't come easily to me. So maybe the S&C that I've been doing is really paying off, and suddenly I can run on grass. One thing I would say with grass sessions is I'm never 100% sure how accurate the GPS is, because we alternate directions. So I don't know whether having your watch on the outside arm of the loop gives you a little bit quicker, for example, or if it doesn't quite realize that you've cut corners and things like that, because we were literally just kind of running around the edge, whatever we felt like. So take the paces with a pinch of salt. I wouldn't say that those paces are a tempo pace for me, but I felt really good, could have carried on at the end. So that's all I've got to go off really. Again, that's why I put tempo-ish, just probably a little bit more like threshold, if I'm being completely honest, but my ego got in the way a little bit there, so I put tempo. Sue me. So yeah, as I said, proper chuff with that. I did have Oliver Weston to pace me round, so he did pretty much all of the work. I was just kind of sat in. I was a complete passenger for the entire session, but you know, you give some, you take some. So yeah, overall really chuffed with that. Heart rate max was about 178 beats per minute, so yeah, a little bit higher than I would have liked. But yeah, on the grass on a lovely little evening in Canterbury, I'm really happy with that. So yeah, best session since coming back from injury, and you're going to see some footage from that session towards the end of this video. Moving on to Friday, again I set the treadmill to kind of rolling hills, and I've called this steezy. So even though it's slower than my pace from the other day, I found this a little bit more difficult than I did, and as you can see from the average heart rate, it was a lot higher, so obviously I was still feeling the session from the night before. So it was a steezy run. I didn't go completely hell for leather. I did try and rein it back a little bit, and as you can see, the average pace has got a little bit slower there, even though I felt a lot better this week in terms of fitness. I did try and drop the ego a little bit and just reduce that treadmill speed. About 140 meters of elevation, which is pretty good for a 5-mile run, I have to admit. But yeah, I was just feeling a little bit tired, a little bit lethargic on this day, and yeah, managed to get it done at 8:29 a.m. because I didn't have clinic that morning. I only had it in the afternoon. So all in all, that was yeah, a little perk of the day. I didn't have to get up super early that day. And then straight after, I went and did an S&C session, really developing a nice kind of set of routines, a nice set of exercises that I'm doing. I've got nice variety at the moment. I think that's really important in terms of kind of keeping yourself mentally stimulated in the gym, making sure you're getting that S&C done. But yeah, developing a real nice set of exercises at the moment, and that's something I'm really chuffed with actually, is keeping myself like on the S&C grind, because it's always something that I seem to sacrifice first before any of the other more exciting stuff. So trying to keep myself injury free this time, trying to be a bit more bulletproof, yeah, and be a bit more robust. So guys, moving on to the Saturday, I really wanted to try and get a little bit more turnover this week. It's something that I feel like I've really been lacking. I've been doing a lot of aerobic stuff, but haven't really been getting any turnover or dipping into that kind of anaerobic area. So I actually did a session with Alex Millard, New Balance, Team GB. She's been on the channel before, and this was a really good session actually. I just said to Alex, what are you doing today? So the original plan for me was to do 10 400s, and she said that she was going to do 8 400s and then 4 200s just afterwards when she changed it into spikes. So I was like, you know what, I'm malleable, I'm pliable, I'll join in with that. I think that's part of what being a good runner is all about. You've got to be adaptable and be able to kind of switch it up, drop the ego. Like, just because it's a different session, it's someone else's session, why can't I give it a go? So yeah, so I just hopped in with Alex there, and it was a little bit windy. Started off a little bit quicker than maybe I should have done. Maybe should have tried to build into the session a little bit more. You can see from the 400s times there, I just gradually lost it as the session went on. So 64, 65, 64, 65, 64, 65, 66, 65. So just gradually gradually started to lose the legs a little bit towards the end of the session. I was starting to really dip into that anaerobic, kind of working really hard towards the end. And then we had kind of 6 minutes jog in between the 400s and the 200s while Alex changed her spikes. And then I managed to get a little bit of decent turnover towards the end, which I really struggled with. I haven't got a good top end speed. So I managed to do some 200s in 31, 30, 29, 28. And I was pretty full out on that last 200 there. But it's all about trying to get the legs used to turning over quickly, because if you can run 28 seconds comfortably for 200, then you can run 35 seconds for 200 even more comfortable, if that makes sense. But yeah, overall I was really chuffed with that. It was nice to have some company from Alex. She's a really nice girl from Loughborough. I've known her for a few years, kind of growing up and training with her, and yeah, it's absolutely mad to have someone like her just hot on my heels, essentially, chasing me down in a session. So very humbling, but also yeah, great fun, and it really helped me get through the session, which was a pretty toasty day in Canterbury. So yeah, overall really chuffed with that. And a step in the right direction in terms of getting some speed back in the legs. Then moving on to Saturday afternoon, I did get back onto the bike. It was the second to last day of the Tour de France, so I managed to catch the end of the tour, the penultimate stage of the Tour de France, should I say. And yeah, just did 60 minutes, not really nice and easy on the spin bike at home. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. This was probably the first spin bike that I'd done where I actually kind of got off going, wow, that was actually really enjoyable. Like normally when I'm on a spin bike, I find myself kind of checking my watch quite a lot. I'm just sat there kind of going, oh bloody hell, is this over yet? Whereas this one, thoroughly enjoyed it, didn't look at the watch once, and got it done. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give my heart that aerobic stimulation that it's used to from lots of volume, but trying to find other ways of getting it. So getting it on the bike, getting it on the elliptical, so on and so forth. And I also did some S&C at home afterwards as well. I was going to go to the gym, but I just couldn't be arsed, and it was already quite late, so I didn't want to push dinner back even further because my family would have to wait for me to have dinner. But yeah, as you can see there, I actually do mention the Tim Manley, Sam Parsons S&C video. Do go and check it out. It's honestly it's been a real game changer for me in terms of just some exercises that an elite athlete does, but also they're kind of like, they're just fun and cool to do, and they're really kind of similar to my weaknesses as a runner. And I'm sure if a lot of you have got a similar sort of weakness, if you've done what I've been doing, which has been doing the basic S&C exercises for years, your squats, deadlifts, things like that. So I'm very much a forward and backwards person at the moment, and I'm trying to be able to be a bit more stable laterally as well, if that makes sense. And then, yeah, moving on to the last day of the week. This is, again, my longest run up to this point. So this was just before the London Diamond League. And yeah, so I had to start this a little bit earlier than I wanted to due to kind of getting the train up to London. So I ran from home. I think I ran about 6.5 miles out, turned around and met Rowan, DC, Ellis, Westy and Adam halfway, and then had a bit of company in the middle just to kind of break it up a little bit. And again, yeah, legs were feeling a little bit tired after the speed session the day before this one, so I didn't overly push it. But yeah, it was really nice to have some company there. Overall, was really chuffed with the heart rate considering how I felt. I thought it'd be a little bit up there, like kind of more the 160, 170s, just because of how I felt in terms of overall fatigue. But yeah, really chuffed with it. And this was the first week that I looked back and I was probably chuffed with that, having gone through what I've been through recently. So yeah, just a kind of a self little kind of pat on the back, if you like. And yeah, that is the end of the week. So yeah, so guys, just before we get into the tempo session in Canterbury, which I'm sure you're going to absolutely love, I just want to say a massive thank you to Soar Running for sponsoring this video. As you've seen in the episode so far, I've been wearing the Soar kit for all of my training sessions that you've seen. And basically, this isn't a false advertisement. This isn't something that I've just done for these videos. I wear Soar quite a lot of the time anyway, just because of how nice it is, especially in the gym when I've been doing treadmill sessions, absolutely dripping in sweat. But also just on those hot, humid runs, especially when I'm running in Maidstone along the river, like it feels so humid with the water coming kind of off the river, if you like. And the Soar apparel, it's just so top quality that it really keeps me nice and cool. It's completely seamless. There's nothing irritating my legs, which I do find I get a little bit of chafing in other brands' short shorts, but not with the speed shorts from Soar. So anyway, a massive thank you to Soar for sponsoring this video series. I couldn't do it without them. Please go check out their website. I really hope you enjoy this video of the tempo session around Canterbury with Westo leading me out. Enjoy. So guys, today is a Thursday and I typically do a tempo on a Thursday. So today I've come down to my local group that I'd normally train with when I'm not at uni or if I've got the time to, Canterbury Endurance. So I'm going to be doing a tempo session on the grass. The grass is really good for developing those small muscles in the lower legs that you can't typically really target in the gym. And this helps to A, reduce injuries, but also B, to help your running form, or at least running ability anyway. Specifically things like running up hills, trail running, like cross country running. It's all going to help with that sort of thing. Maybe not so specific for road running, but alas, it can't hurt. The grass is a lot softer than the road, so I do have to adjust paces accordingly. So this is where I typically run off feel rather than looking at the GPS on my watch, because specifically if I'm running round a field, the GPS isn't going to be accurate. So I tend to go purely off of effort. This is going to be about a 7 or 8 out of 10 effort today. Like, I should be able to maintain a conversation if I want to, but I should not want to, basically, if that makes sense. So it's going to be 100% aerobic, not going to be pushing it. Should get to the end and feel like I could carry on. That's the whole point of a tempo. Without further ado, let's get onto the grass, find out what the session is from DC. I think I know what it is, but I just want to check before I tell you guys. And yeah, then we'll get warmed up and get into this session. But first, I'm going to take in some of the nature. Maybe not. Let's go.
We got time to work out.
Still got legs?
You do.
They still work, my legs. Second rep done, so 7.5 done. Just 5 minutes to go.
Yeah. Got a nice 2-minute relax.
Pace is well off.
Doesn't matter.
No, it's quick. It's way ahead of what I'm running.
I see.
Yeah. Saying we're 5-minute mining. I don't think so. I know what 5-minute mining feels like. It doesn't feel like that.
No.
5-minute mining hurts. But
No, I know that, between the reps.
Two
Two again.
Okay. 2 between the whole lot, so.
no strides afterwards.
Nah.
No.
Go on, boys.
Well done, guys. Well done, Chris.
Still, yeah? Keep it easy, West Oaks. Don't really need to push on too much. Don't push through any barriers here tonight.
Huh?
Just keep it relaxed.
Where do you want me to do a heats and finals job?
What are you practicing for?
So guys, that session done. That went way better than I could have possibly imagined. Kind of my first completed proper session back. My second one with the group, or my second outdoor session. I've been doing primarily treadmill sessions. And just felt really good, felt comfortable. So yeah, proper chuffed with that. I think I averaged 3:11 per K for the first, 3:11 per K for the second, and then 3:09 for the third and final. I'm not sure how accurate the splits are because we're on grass, and if I'm honest, I don't feel like I was running that quick. And you never know really, like we alternate directions, so with your watch being on the wrist, sometimes it's on the outside of the lap, sometimes it's on the inside, and it can affect it. I'm not sure I'm worried too much, but yeah, some of these things you just have to take it with a pinch of salt. So I don't think I'm quite as fit as those paces would suggest, because I don't think they're 100% accurate, but I'm not complaining. Time to get cooled down and we'll have a little debrief. We're back in the car. Oh, so guys, I think I've got the camera a little bit sweaty. I do apologise. Yeah, as I said, that was a bit of a win, that session. I think sometimes you've got to go into sessions almost like expecting the worst, and then like confidence just grows when it's all kind of going to plan, which is really good. So yeah, really chuffed with that. And being as we're in week 3 and I've still got another good 7 weeks to build, that's exactly what I wanted, something positive. I'm going to keep on building, keep on doing the right stuff, which is clearly paying off. The exercises that I'm doing are really kind of, yeah, helping, and the hamstring pain has kind of come down to like a 1 out of 10, which is really good. It's not fully gone. It is kind of, there's still a bit of residual pain there, but I've got straight into the Hocker recovery sliders. Comfort and recovery is key. Not sponsored, they're just, I think I've had these sliders for maybe 5-6 years, maybe, I don't know, something ridiculous. They're still going strong, they're probably not cushioning anymore. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode 3 of the SUB67 project. You guys have been absolutely crushing the support on these vlogs, and I really hope you love the format. And again, any feedback, please drop it down below. But anyway, please like, subscribe, share with your running buddies. Love the pain. I'm loving the pain at the moment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.